Peace, everybody. Not gonna stay on too long today. I don't know about y'all, but um, Saturn is really close to Earth right now, and it's just making it's asking me to like kind of just um, download a lot of new information and just kind of like integrate it, and not necessarily um, do a lot of acting just to be right now. So if you're feeling that way, it's totally normal. Um, and you definitely want to listen to your body when it's telling you to chill or if it's telling you to um, move forward with things. So I'm not going to pull a card, but I did want to talk a little bit more about Saturn in general. Like I always say, everything has energy. So that includes stars, that includes planets. Um, and Saturn, the energy of Saturn is really um Saturn likes to shake things up. So Saturn, the energy of Saturn always encourages you to really take a deep look at where you are in life and who you are at that moment in time, and it really asks you to really reevaluate. Is it working for you? Is it what you originally set out to achieve? Is it really what you intended, where you intended to be, um, personally, professionally, with your family, like everything? So, one thing that I used to specialize in, or I used to focus a lot of my work in, was Saturn returns. So, Saturn returns happen basically. A Saturn return is um, if you're so let me back up. So hopefully you're at least familiar with astrology. If you're not, I would highly recommend that. It's a lot more than just like a newspaper horoscope. Like it really is. Particularly because if you look at your natal chart, which is basically an evaluation of like at the moment you were born. So I was born. I ain't gonna put all my business out there, but say for example you were born on what's today, August 3rd at 1:02 p.m., right? Eastern time in, I don't know, Phoenix, Arizona, right? So at that specific moment in time, all of the planets are in a certain position, right? And based on where those planets are at that moment when you were born, when you um, came out of the womb, um, all of those energies have a different effect on you depending on where they are. Um, so a Saturn return is basically it takes 28 years for Saturn to make a full cycle from wherever it was. So if you were born on August 3rd at 1:02 p.m., then Saturn is in a certain um, constellation in the sky. So it takes 28 years for Saturn to get back to that exact point in that constellation. So, for example, Saturn could have been inside the constellation of Taurus at that moment when you were born, and so the energy of Taurus, the energy of that constellation, in conjunction with the energy of Saturn, is going to have a certain effect on that aspect of your life. And it gets a lot deeper. I'm not going to get too deep into it because it's really something that has so much more weight and impact if you research your own birth chart and look at all of the aspects that come from where the planets are with you specifically, because it's easier for you to evaluate, like, this resonates with me or it doesn't, or and then it changes throughout your life, like um, certain energies, um, how can I say, like certain energies kind of come to the surface or kind of flourish or are nurtured when you're in a certain space. So, who you are as a 5-year old is not who you are as a 25-year old. So it's gonna hit different depending on where you are in life. But it also helps you more than anything to understand who you are innately, like who you are naturally, not who you try to be, not who you intend to be, but who you are, like in your rawest form, and why you do the things that you do and why you have the tendencies that you have. So I know there is a free resource that you can use if you really want to look more into that. It's called cafeastrology.com, and you can get a free natal chart on that website. But there are also lots of like professional astrologers, and I can, just like DM me or email me, and I can refer some people to you if that can help, because like I'm not gonna lie, like if you're new to this and you go to that website and they give you all those breakdowns, it might not necessarily make sense. So you might need somebody to um, interpret it a little bit more, make it make sense to you. And you always want to support, indigenous people doing the work that they came here to do. So if you want a personal reference, definitely hit me up and I can refer some people to you. But highly recommend it. So yeah, so Saturn return happens every 28 years, and it is when Saturn returns to the constellation it was in when you came out of the womb. So I used to specialize in it because, in particular, for me, like I didn't know about it until it happened. So, I was 28 years old and I felt like I was having like a midlife crisis, because that's what it feels like. But it's called a quarter life crisis when it's 28, right? And it's basically where you just kind of look up one day and you're like, where am I? And why am I here? Why am I doing this? And like, I don't want to do this anymore. Um, and it kind of makes you just feel really ungrounded and really kind of like lost in, you don't really know how to always dig yourself out of that. So I was reading a lot of books, and that's where I came across the Saturn return phenomenon. And so because it was so impactful for me specifically, like I wanted to help other people be able to traverse something like that in their lives successfully, because it happens every 28 years. So it's not like it's one time that you go through it. Um, so being that Saturn right now is the closest to Earth that it's going to be for the rest or all year, um, I feel like a lot of people are in a place where they're having a lot of those same feelings. Like, you're kind of taking an audit of your life and you're really feeling moved to just like ask yourself why you do the, like, why are you where you are? Why are you who you are? Is it working? Is it not working? And what you can do to be more in alignment with who who you came here to be and who you would like to be, who you maybe have set out to be, or intended to be. Um, so I definitely encourage you to take these moments where the energy is kind of asking you to reflect and relax and recuperate, and take these moments of stillness to really um, figure those things out for yourself. Um, like all of this doesn't happen for no reason, and it's going to be vital, especially given the shift that we're going through right now. Um, for example, how there are so many people who may have lost their jobs, or may have been laid off because you work in the hospitality industry, and maybe the business you were working for went under because of quarantine, and um, maybe you got laid off because they weren't able to pay everybody's salary, so they had to let some people go. Like, whatever the reason is, a lot of people are, once they release that, we're feeling like, why was I doing that anyway? And I don't want to go back. And, so it's a lot of businesses right now who are saying that they cannot find employment. And I think that's for a lot of different reasons, but mainly I feel like the reason for that is because, number one, people are reevaluating their lives, and like, why am I spending all my time and energy doing this thing that doesn't even really make me happy or make me feel fulfilled? Um, it's not, when I was a little kid, this is not what I envisioned myself doing. This is not who I wanted to be. In conjunction with a lot of people not wanting to change. So, a lot of these companies that have stayed in business, um, they've stayed in business because they've adapted to the world changing around them. But then it's like all of a sudden, like, oh, okay, it's over now. Let's go backwards and do what we used to do, even though this new way works perfectly fine. You know what I'm saying? And is perfectly profitable and productive. But no, let's just disregard all of that, and let's just go backwards. And like, that's not the purpose of what we're going through right now. It's not to it's never a good idea to go backwards. Like, the only time you should go backwards is when you, like I said, when it's a time where you're being asked to be still. Like, for example, winter solstice, and like those, um, the weeks before and the weeks after. It's really a time where you should reflect, relax, and recuperate. Um, you shouldn't start anything new. You shouldn't push yourself to be really active. Even if you look at nature, um, all of the animals are kind of like hibernating, or like hidden away in their habitats. And so you definitely want to take that cue and do the same. So in that sense, you want to go back and reflect on maybe the past 12 months or the past 6 months, and just do, like I said, an audit on your life. Um, but it's not necessarily going backwards and doing something old that no longer serves your purpose. the only time that would be effective is if you say you, as a child, you wanted to be an artist, and um, somewhere along the lines you lost sight of that, and so you want to go back to that dream. But it's not really you going back then either, because if you never pursued that dream in the first place, you're not going back to it. Does that make sense? So it's never a good idea to go backwards. But anyway, I digress. So it's a common energy that people are experiencing right now, to really make sure that you're where you need to be, and you're where you want to be, and you're where you find joy. Um, so really take this time to make sure that that's what you're doing, and that you're doing what is most in alignment with you, and that you are listening to your body and listening to your soul, to make sure that you are nurturing yourself and nourishing yourself in the ways that you that in the ways that are for your highest good, and to be your highest self. um like even now, like it's like really cloudy here, and it's like an overcast, so it's kind of like one of those days where you just want to like relax on the couch and watch a good movie. um but anyway, I feel like I'm rambling. I said this wasn't going to be long. We're on that 16 minutes. Okay. um so yeah, so if you are around that 28 to 30-year old range right now, I'm sure like the world has turned upside down for you. I just remember like going, like just feeling so lost, and that was really, let me see, when I was 28, I think I actually quit my job that year and decided to do this full time, which, the timing, I mean, everything happens the way it's supposed to be. And that's another thing. That's another good point. I'm glad that came up. Thank you. Um so as you figure these things out about yourself, don't be afraid to take that leap. Don't be afraid to jump out there and really go for it, because the fact that you're inspired to even take a deeper look at these things in your life um, means that it is the perfect time for you to do that. Now, what may end up happening is things don't pan out the way that you thought. And that goes back to, you having expectations versus you being an observer. So I know it might seem contradictory to take action and be an observer at the same time, but it's basically about detachment. So you do want to take actions towards the things that bring you joy. However, you want to detach yourself from what you think taking those actions, what the results of those actions are going to be. So when you do figure some things out along this journey, and you do decide to pursue them, remember to just be an observer and watch things unfold as they may, because the universe has more, I almost want to say the multiverse at this point, but the source energy has so much more information than you do. So you can never be able to connect all those dots from your limited perspective, being here in this 3D world. Well, we're not, we're phasing out of the 3D right now, but here in this physical world, in this dense world, when you're in this physical body, you can still connect to source and access that information. But again, it's not about you've come here to experience the journey. You have not come here to reach a destination and be done. That's not what it's about. And that's not what you should focus on. So you definitely, it's almost, to me, it makes it more exciting, because if you don't know what's going to happen, it's just like, it's like really magical. Like, oh, I'm going to go do this, and, we'll see what happens. Like, it's going to be good. But if you attach an expectation to it, then you're setting yourself up to attach an emotion or a reaction to something based on, like, if it didn't pan out this way, then it was bad, or I failed, or like, that's not the case. Like, for example, like I said, I quit my job and I pursued this full time, and my expectation was that I knew this was my purpose. So I thought, the floodgates will open and I would be like turning people down. There would be so many people wanting to get readings from me and wanting to take my classes and wanting to be coached by me. And that is not how things panned out. And I can say, like, in hindsight, looking back, I set myself up with such a solid foundation that when I stepped away, which wasn't all for financial reasons, I also stepped away because I was being, a lot of much deeper information was being revealed to me at a certain point, and I just really needed to take the time to reevaluate everything and figure out who I was in the midst of all of this new information, and who I wanted to be, and what I wanted to offer, and things like that. So, but prior to that point, I had done so much work because I had put so much pressure on myself to, be successful, what I thought was successful, which is really like financial. It really was financial. So I put so much pressure on myself to make a certain amount of money that when it didn't happen, I felt like I failed. But like I said, in hindsight, looking back, like, all of that effort that I put in has set me up fantastically right now, because now, like, I don't really have to do much for my business. Like, everything's already there. The most I have to do is like update links, maybe switch what I did before into a new platform that's more technologically advanced than it was, almost 10 years ago at this point. But like, I created, like, I'm almost amazed at myself sometimes when I go back and look at all of the things that I created, or all of the ideas that I had back then. Like, all I really got to do is bring them into fruition, or, like I said, update things. And like, so all of that work, even though back then I felt like I failed, I didn't. But that was me putting that expectation on it. And it really was imperative for me to be in a position to create things now. Because if I had to start from scratch right now, it would be so much more overwhelming, and I don't have as much time as I used to. Like, back then, like, I was barely, like, all of my time was mine. It was not spent doing things for other people. So now that I am spending a lot of my time doing things for other people, it also gives me the financial freedom to not put that pressure on myself. So like I said, all of the dots connected, all of the things lined up. But I was not in a position to see it from that higher perspective. So you gotta trust that you are exactly where you need to be, and trust that you are being inspired to think and feel the things that you are, to reevaluate the things that you are. And like I said, like, even if you don't have any answers, just sit and be still and they'll come to you. Um, so let me see. Is there anything else I want to talk about? I will say that right now the universe is asking all of us to be who we came here to be. And that's why, excuse me, my tagline is remember who you are, because I believe anyway, that when you chose to come here, you chose to come here at the time that you came here, surrounded by the people that you were surrounded by, for a reason. And so we get here and we get in the midst of a lot of this programming and institutionalization, and we forget why we came here, what we're really here for. So now more than ever, you're being given the space and opportunity to really figure that out. So really take advantage of it and know that, you know, everybody has their role to play, and it your purpose is always going to be more in alignment with being of service to people, more so than to be a billionaire, or to, I mean, you can do that too, but then you also got to ask yourself, like, what is it about being a billionaire that's going to make you feel fulfilled inside of yourself? Because a lot of people think money makes them happy, but it's not the actual money. It's the access that money allows you to, and what is it specifically that you feel like is going to bring you joy from that access. So if you feel like you want to have all this money because you want to travel the world, and that money will give you access to be able to do that, but what is it about traveling that makes you feel fulfilled? And what places specifically do you want to go that you feel like will fill some type of void inside of yourself? Which isn't, I mean, to each their own. You're all on your own journeys for you to figure out. But again, you can't really satisfy something internal with something external. But these are all of the questions that you really should get down to the nitty gritty and to the basics to really ask yourself. You really gotta strip it down all the way so that you are really getting to the foundation of why you want these things, or why you think it's going to make you happy. And a lot of times I think you'll be surprised once you get in depth with it. But yeah, so you definitely want to figure out what it is that you specifically came here to do, that you can do, that nobody else can do the way that you can do. And by doing it will also make you fulfilled, bring you joy. It'll be fun. You'll wake up looking forward to doing it. So yeah, really think about those things. I think that's all I'm channeling. Let's see. Yeah, I just keep hearing, just like, stop being so busy. Just sit down and chill. That's what I keep hearing. So on that note, I hope this has been helpful. And I hope that you at least take the rest of the day, if not the rest of the week, to just relax and just let yourself just be. Um, I am still gonna do the contest that I mentioned. I'm just trying to figure out like what is a good giveaway. So once I figure that out, I'll definitely post that. As always, if you'd like to donate, um, if you'd like to watch um, any of my full videos, if you want to go to my website and purchase any of my services, if you um, want to check out my Patreon page, any of those things, all of those things are in my Linktree link. Um, and also if you want to pre-order my Creation Station Manifestation e-course, you can also do that on my website, which is also on my Linktree. So I hope this has been helpful, and I will catch you guys either Thursday or Friday. Peace.